Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 9th, 2018 Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of Berkeley. I'm Paul Evans, your chair. It's good to see everybody here tonight. Thanks for coming out. So our first order of business is I'd ask everybody to stand, face the flag, and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. McLean, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Butts? Yep. Emmons? Is absent tonight, please. Kirby? Here. Gisung?
Here.
McAlpin?
Here.
Euler?
Here.
And Evans?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. This board normally consists of 7 members. Mr. McLean, we do have our alternates here tonight. Is there any recommendation on whose turn it is to sit as an alternate? They both offered to sit if they were needed.
I defer to your good judgment.
You do, okay. I see both alternates. I'm going to defer to your good judgment. Who'd like to go?
I'd be more than happy to.
Mr. Allen, okay. So let the record show that Mr. Allen has taken the open seat, and we now have a full board seat. Our next item is approval of the agenda. We do have our proposed agenda. Are there any questions, corrections, or changes either by staff or any member of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Any discussion? Mr. McLean.
Euler?
Yes.
Butts?
Yes.
Kirby?
Yes.
Gisung?
Yes.
McAlpin?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
And Evans?
Yes. Our next item is the approval of minutes from our March 12th, 2018 meeting. We've all received those in the packet. We've had a chance to look at those. Does anyone have any suggested changes?
I'm not sure if this really needs to be in the minutes, but I was unable to attend the last meeting. It wasn't because of a conflict of interest or I decided to go see the movies. The single applicant yesterday was 2 doors down from me, and because of the conflict of interest, I decided not to show up, so it wasn't for lack of trying.
Okay. I don't think that needs to be in the minutes, and we're here to say,
Okay.
I think it's appropriate that everybody knows that still doing your best to help out with this board wherever you can.
And I'd like to also add that we identified a email address issue, and I did not know about the meeting in March, but that has been since rectified, so same goes. I feel bad that I didn't give any prior notice that I wasn't going to be here, but I did not even know we were meeting,
Okay.
so it's been corrected.
All right, good. I do have one comment regarding the minutes. I believe perhaps under application PBA 0118, I know that the applicant did present verbally to the board with his reasons why he should get a variance, and perhaps that should be included just to show the progression of what happened at the meeting. I guess if there's general consensus on that, perhaps we're ready for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. McLean?
Euler?
Yes.
Butts?
Yes.
Kirby?
Yes.
Gisung?
Yes.
McAlpin?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
And Evans?
Yes. Our next item is application PBA 0218 for property on Earlmont. And I'll defer to Mr. McLean for his summary of the application.
Sure. The property owner at 2254 Earlmont is looking to construct a second-story addition on his home. The property is unique in that the existing garage is very close to the lot line, we're talking about 3 feet. Through a little bit of research, I discovered that this property had gotten a variance for the garage to be less than 5 feet from the rear lot line. This was back in 1972. Very little existed in the record as to what the practical difficulty was for the variance. So based on the fact that the variance was approved, we can only assume that a practical difficulty was proven to the ZBA at that time.
And so the variance is to enlarge the house and to have the distance between the detached garage and the new part of the house less than 10 feet, which is what is required today. Is that a correct assessment?
Correct.
Okay, got it. And the original, the distance that's there right now, that was granted by a variance in 1972, the distance between the existing garage and the existing footprint of the house, correct?
That's correct.
Gotcha, okay. Do any board members have any questions for staff?
Quick question. If the variance in 72, is it the same variance we're looking at today?
No, the variance in 72 was for the garage to be located closer than 5 feet to the side lot.
Okay. But there was no house to garage setback then, so that wasn't in that?
There was a requirement of 5 feet from the side lot line back in 72.
For the garage?
Correct. And at some point over the years, an attachment was constructed from the garage to the house. There's no record in our property files of any permits for that attachment, nor was there any record of an application for variance.
So connecting, whatever did that connected the garage to the house, you're saying that would have or should have required a variance?
Correct, the variance was for a detached garage. Attaching that garage, in my mind, was not a legal addition.
And that was done before this property owner that's in front of us purchased the house.
To the best of our knowledge.
So the 72 variance was to put the garage where it's at right now?
Correct.
Next to the
Yes,
house? and
less than 5
Less than
feet
5
from
feet
the-
from the side of it? Okay. And it's a 60-foot lot, it looks like, so we do allow the attached garages for a 60-foot lot?
Yes.
Currently?
I have a question, maybe the applicant has the answer if you don't, and then we can get to the applicant as soon as I bring it up. It's not clear to me, perhaps can staff explain what portion or what's the proportion or size or dimensions of the area that's going to go from the existing and proposed addition to the garage? I mean, is it going to be as deep as the garage is? Is it going to be this little red area that's shown on the plans? Is it going to be a combination?
Well, the way I interpret the plans, it would be the red area, however, no dimensions were presented to the staff.
So he's here today, the applicant's here today to request a variance for the distance between the addition to the house and the existing garage, right?
Yep.
Because you need 10 feet, correct?
Correct.
And he's asking to maintain the 5 feet. What does it say? What is the existing according to the variance? He's asking to maintain that. I'm going a little closer. All right. I have no further questions. Any members of the board have any further questions? One more, Mr. Kirby, yeah.
The covered area to the garage, is that an attachment, or is that's not enclosed, or?
It doesn't appear to be enclosed, but that is an attachment.
Because then that would seem like this would be an attached garage, then, would it not? On a 60-foot lot, which is allowed, so there's no distance between the house and the garage in that scenario.
Well, but then what comes into question is if the garage is truly attached, then it's part of the dwelling, and then you don't have 15 feet between that house and the adjacent dwelling.
And that's what that variance was granted for in 72 was the original placement.
Yes.
I see. If I'm interpreting this correctly, so according to the public notice from 72, it looks like they're allowed to be 3 feet from the side lot line with a detached garage. The issue was being less than 10 feet from the existing house, which it looks like they got a variance for. Now, if someone wants to attach the house in any way, shape, or form to the existing garage, the whole thing is considered a house and not a detached accessory structure. Now setbacks apply, so that would make the 3 feet that the existing garage is set back from the west property line, they would need a variance for that too, essentially, because the code says they have to be, what is it, 5?
Minimum of 5.
15 feet between the,
Total 15 between the two, but minimum of 5 on one side.
And we're saying 15 feet between the house on this property and the houses on either, okay.
Correct, so that would create multiple nonconformities.
Okay, I see, yeah, and I see here they do have 10 feet on the, what is that, the other side property line, so clearly, without a variance, they would need to maintain 5 feet with the existing, if they wanted to connect it. A lot of things going on here.
This was an unusual case.
yeah. Oh, with the previous variance involved, it definitely
Yeah.
came as well.
I have a question.
Yes,
From what I'm reading here from the plans, this is a 2-story addition? Is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, well, any further questions for any board members? Hearing none, presuming the applicant's here?
I'm actually Tim's brother, Dave. He's actually on a family vacation and didn't realize.
Okay.
Um,
If you could just introduce yourself, give us your...
I'm Dave Lynn. I'm a licensed builder. Tim's my brother.
You're representing him tonight, right?
What's that?
You're representing him tonight?
Yes, sir.
And what's your address for the record, if I could?
My address?
Yeah,
3412 Woodland, Royal Oak, Michigan.
sounds good, thank you. Okay, go right ahead, sir.
Basically, all it technically is a bump back from the house and a second-story addition with engineered joists to big open floor plan. And I'm just here to represent that nothing of the original garage and that variance is going to change. Now, if it was a matter of, it looked like, and it appears to me, is that that shed roof, that mini gable between both houses was just an add-on by somebody that didn't pull a permit at one time. So it's not, I mean, it's not conditioned, but it could be, I mean, if you needed to, and to make it a non-accessory structure, we're just looking at the route of what would be the most beneficial for everybody to do a second story. So basically, he's just gonna add on the additional square footage plus bumping back. It would, the garage would basically get a major facelift. It would get LP siding, which is just like Hardy. It wouldn't be a vinyl product. The roof is brand new, it was put on in September. And it would get LP siding, new garage door to match the house. So it's rather minimal if we would do anything to the garage. It's just the addition part just came up when this, because it's a non-conforming structure, so we had a boundary survey done, and it looks like, you know, they're 3 feet, just would be like an accessory structure garage. Within the 3 feet, side setbacks would be, you know, you'd have to firewall it, just like any new construction. Non-combustible OSB down the sides, on the gable, any particular overhangs, then 2 feet returns on the front and the back. So nothing would drastically change, but the general canvas of this house is going to look wonderful compared to what it does now. And whether that holds anything or not, so basically, I think that little connection was an aftermarket thing. If it's something that's swings to the point where you cut it off and now it's an accessory building and it can meet the variance, that we'd be willing to do that as well. So it just depends on path of least resistance. Would be shame to knock down a garage and have to rebuild a $25,000-$30,000 garage and move it back just to make sure that we could build a second-story addition on my brother's home, so.
Okay. All right. One question we had in our discussion is, can you talk a little bit about, or let us know, what's the connection going to be? What plan shows what's going to be connected?
What can be connected?
Not what you're proposing to connect. The question some of the board members have were, is it this red area here on your site plan? Or
The red area is basically like the bump extension, but that is up in air as if it would be, I mean, if that's the major hang-up, there's no real intention. Yes, ideally, it would be nice to have a covered just porch to be able to get from the garage to the mudroom when taking the kids out of the car, but, we're not hanging our hat on it, it's not.
Well, so what I'm asking is, what are you asking for? Are you asking the area labeled as covered area to garage? Or how deep is the addition going to be?
The addition appears that it will match the exact back depth of the garage.
Okay. So essentially, if your variance is granted, what you'd like to see is the entire area between the existing garage and the existing plus proposed home will be covered.
If that's possible. If it's not, and it's a pretty big undertaking on my brother's part, not only to restore a older home, but it's a big construction undertaking. So if it's a matter of, you have an open 4-foot piece between the garage and the house, I got off the phone with them before I came in here. I've been educated on it to quite some extent, but when this came up, because it was a non-conforming garage, that's obviously, it's 60-foot lot, so it's a pretty decent sized lot. And the facade would be, same size, but second story. So the garage would stay the same. That apparently had a variance in '72, which is good to know. But other than that, I don't know if it's a requirement to drive by or something, but there's the side boundary stakes that were put in, and it's just a matter of doing things right.
All right, well, thanks for clearing that up. Do any members of the board have any additional questions for the applicant?
I have a question. So, if I understand this right, you could put on the addition without connecting it to the garage?
You could.
And you just have
It's
to
not a
connect it.
perfect world, it's not the most ideal thing, but it's only a 4-foot walk from the man door of the garage to get actually into, or somewhere around the entry door to the addition. So it wouldn't have to be conditioned. If it was required to be conditioned, we could do that too. It's just a matter of, I've had a similar situation in Pleasant Ridge, not that it matters, but the garage was not conforming because it was too tall. And when we connected the two with the conditioned space, it made a conforming garage. So that's where I'm bringing up that if the roof connects, then, if that makes it conform, great. If the roof doesn't connect and makes it conform, we can do that too.
Do you want it conditioned or not?
I mean, probably not,
Not? Do you want it enclosed or just a roof?
just a roof.
Okay. And you want it to go to the entire depth of the garage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further questions from any members of the board?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Is there an existing side door on the house connecting it to the garage?
No, sir. There's a back door that would be right at where it says 15 feet, almost dead center, maybe just a little bit to the east, right on the back. And then there's a side door to the garage where that little red hash line is, where it would be like a garage man service door.
So right now you have to walk out of the house. to
Correct.
get into the garage.
And you're just under a little covered area about this big.
Thank you. Any other members of the board? Okay, sir, thank you very much. If you want to take a
Thanks
seat.
a lot.
We'll open it up to public hearing now.
All right, appreciate it.
So I'll open up the public hearing. If there's any members, please step up. Yes.
Hi, Rachel Vicentini. I'm on Oxford, Berkeley. I just have a quick question that I would hope that could be answered. Is this going to be a flip house, or is this going to be where the resident's going to live permanently?
My brother would be living there, I'm sorry.
Than't you.
I'm sorry if I'm out of line to talk, I'll answer as we go.
No, that's fine. I just was curious.
Yep, my brother and his family are gonna live there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else like to make a public comment regarding this? Anyone? Raise your hand, please step up. Thank you. Your name and address for the record?
Patty Curtis,
Berkley resident. Is there a minimum distance if they, because we got the citizens packet, but it doesn't include the plans that you're looking at. Is there a minimum distance required by code between the house and the garage along the side of the garage? I mean, I was under the impression that code requires 10 feet. Is that correct?
It's actually 6. Between structures. Is your question, is it between?
Between the two structures if they're not attached, is there a minimum distance between the two structures? Is it 10 feet?
It should be 10, I'll confirm that with Mr. McLean.
Yes, the accessory structures have to be a minimum of 10 feet from the principal residence.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up. This is a plan that you're looking at?
Yes.
Would anyone else like to speak regarding this? Anyone? Okay. I'll close the public comment. See that we haven't received any written correspondence from any members of the public. I'll turn it back over to the board for discussion.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, if they just knock the little roof off and put their addition on, they could just do this whole thing without any variance at all, isn't that correct? Why not?
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like the variance from 72 gave them a variance for a side yard setback, but not the 10-foot difference between the house and the garage. Am I correct?
Yes.
Does that variance include, was there a setback between, was there a setback in 72 between the house?
And the garage.
They gave them a variance to put the garage here next to this house.
What's in the record is very minimal, and I haven't.
So it doesn't say that they also understood that the distance between the garage and the house would not meet the requirements.
I thought you said, based on the letter of record, it would be assumed, or was your assumption that it was?
Well, the variance was for the distance from the side yard.
Okay.
In 72?
So perhaps that wasn't.
It may or may not have been.
So we don't know how it got that.
Right, because there's not a record of a practical difficulty being proven, we can only assume that there was.
I just can't envision, if the code was the same and there was 10 feet required and they allowed the garage to be placed there,
They knew that the distance was,
you'd have to assume that they were,
that they allowed that space on the other side.
Right.
And the bedroom.
so it would seem to me that the easiest thing to do here, where you don't require any variance at all, is to just build in accordance with the variance from 72, which would be to make the addition and not have them attached.
Here's the thing, with the existing non-conforming, even for him to do any addition on this is going to require a variance. Correct?
Yes.
I would agree. The variance was specifically,
Yes.
if I'm cutting out.
Now, he's cutting down on one non-conformity, looking closer at the plan. The front porch is less than 25 feet from the sidewalk, which is a non-conformity. He's cutting that back, opening the front porch up, so that house will be reduced back to the face of the house, which removes that one non-conformity out of the picture, correct?
Correct.
So that will put the house back, set back with the rest of the ones in line with it right now, like you were saying about the facade change. The other nonconformity is that garage, so putting any addition on here, he would need a variance basically right there.
That's
One
how
way
I
or
see
another.
it. Yeah.
All we're doing is pretty much saying yes to the old variance that was
What would the addition require a variance for?
the 10-foot between the two structures right there.
Okay.
Unless he attached it.
But I
If
thought,
attached,
He needs a different variance.
See,
Would
now,
need a
what I'm
variance.
thinking is
Or
if
allowed
it's
to
attached, he
garage.
already owns a variance. He can build 2 stories on that 3 foot if he wants to. It belongs to the property, not to the individual. So with the attachment, it already has a variance from 72. He needs nothing from us.
That's what I.
Correct.
That's my
what I'm
opinion. on it.
So if he keeps it connected,
Yeah, the variance is in place.
I think that just a point of interest here is, that's why it is imperative that what we do here is clear and stated very clearly in the record. Because if someone 40 years from now might be looking at something we've done, Well, what did they mean? That's not a good position to be in, as we are.
Yep.
The way I see it, and I'm basing this off the notices, the legal notices that were sent in 72, as well as the site plan from the building permit file from 72. And the notice clearly says that the applicant is asking for a waiver of 4 feet 3 inches between the buildings. It doesn't say that he's asking for a waiver from the side yard setback. The code in the paragraph above that, which presumably was the correct code at the time of the hearing notice, says, a detached accessory building can't be located closer than 10 feet, nor shall it be located any closer to 3 feet to the side lot line. So the way I read it, based on that information, is that a detached garage is okay to be 3 feet from the side property line, but the variance that was presumably given in 72, I can't see anything here to suggest it wasn't, is to have it to be closer. So in my mind, the board at that time was given specific information that this was going to be an accessory building based on the floor plan and everything that existed in 72. In my opinion, if either of those are going to be modified, and we've got two of them that are going to be modified, A, they want to connect to the existing garage, which we're hearing staff tell us that that's the case, then you got to be 5 feet away, because it follows the same setback of the house. Or if the applicant says, well, we don't have to connect it, I think they still need a variance for the addition because it's more than what was presented to the board in 72. So that's my opinion.
Looks like on that variance, that code section covers both the 3-foot side setback and the 10-foot between the building.
Yep.
It's the exact same code.
It does.
So he got a variance on that code which covers both of those.
Which goes back to my point.
So we got a
I'm still-
variance.
I'm still not, and maybe I'm slow, but I'm still not seeing how the garage is allowed, per the variance in 72, it's allowed 3 feet from the property line, and he's got a variance to allow closer than 10 feet between the structures. So if he just puts the addition on and leaves it the same distance from the garage currently, he doesn't need anything, he's just putting on an addition.
Exactly.
I think you're correct after reading that right there.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
if you
the
read
exact
it,
same
it says
code.
that the applicant is asking for a waiver of 4 feet 3 inches between the accessory building and the main building, which states he will cover the entire interior of the garage with 10-inch drywall. But that to me says that's what they were asking for, that part of the variance, because that's not from the side yard.
But that, both parts of the code.
It sounds
Right,
like
right, that's, but that second, well, actually, in the notes, we have that fourth paragraph appears to address the distance between the garage and the house.
It sounds like they were asking to build the garage exactly where it is now, and the only difference is the whole roof of the
Right, right.
So if you take the roof away and put the extension on, then he could just do that, not even be in front of us. That's what I think.
Mr. Allen?
He's increasing the degree of the variance, though, by adding more floor space onto the house. What this 1972 document did was agree to what's in black on here. He's increasing the footprint, thus increasing the amount of variance.
That's the way I see it. It's still 4 foot 3 inches.
Nowhere in here does it say how big the structure is, though. The variance they're asking to make the structure deeper.
I would say the structure rolls with it, it's at 4
Right.
foot 3.
Right, I think it just.
If it changes, then he needs
Right.
something new.
The distance is the distance from the front to the back. We didn't say the distance they're granting is from the front to halfway.
It says distance between the
Yeah.
structures.
So I take that to mean the space between can continue as far as it can go back.
I'm reading the same thing.
And quite honestly, the way that the new red addition just then squares off both of them to match.
It makes it look nicer.
Mr. Allen?
You know, yeah, you can read it that way in there, but general practice, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, is when a variance is granted, it's granted on what's drawn. If you increase the size of that variance, you've got, 10 plus more feet. You're extending that variance another 10 plus feet with that 4-foot 3-inch walkway down through there.
I think I see where you're going. In theory, could someone push the existing garage back another 10 feet, 20 feet for that matter, push the existing house back the same amount, and then say, I don't need a variance because in 72, and effectively, they could double. So I see where you're going.
Yes, that's,
I will say, in my professional zoning opinion, I believe that's the interpretation, or that's how I would interpret it.
Except for right here, it says waiver of 4 feet 3 inches between accessory buildings and the main building. It doesn't say 10 feet of that building, it doesn't say 20 feet of that building. But it says 4
Yeah.
foot 3 between two buildings.
Well, yes, I'm presuming that yeah, well,
It's tough.
We're trying to make, we're trying to interpret information and
From 72.
actions that weren't even clear in the first place of what the intention
Yep.
was,
Right.
which I think is making it far more difficult.
so ultimately, he's here to connect it up
Yep.
and ask for a setback from the side property line. Correct?
He's already got that.
Okay. Jim, do you have any comments on our thoughts? What did you advise the applicant? What do you think after what we have to say?
Well, I think the addition increases the non-conformity, so I believe he would, the way I interpret this, he would need a variance for the addition because you're increasing the non-conformity. Unfortunately, we're limited with what we've got because there was very little information on the case from 72. What's here is what I was able to find. I was able to find specific minutes or conditions, regarding the granting of the variance.
Mr. Kirby, yes.
Your discussion with Dwayne there, what were his thoughts on why he didn't think this would be a good applicant for the administrative review?
Well, the way he saw it, one way or another, this property is going to need a variance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I personally would be likely to, I think the project looks good there. I like the porch being set back there for front neighbors. We're not gonna have him tear the garage down, I'm sure. He's not adding a second story on the garage, so he's not encroaching on the neighbors. It's simply the space between the existing house and the existing garage, or not, if he connects it.
I agree, because of the verbiage
Yeah.
in the
I mean, the
variance.
property has a variance, and I guess I've always thought that the variance goes with the property.
And I would support, I would agree with you.
So, I guess I would support what they're doing here, with the connection or without. I mean, I think it looks good. The connection seems like a viable solution there, and I do appreciate them pushing the front of the house back, because I think that's important for the neighborhood.
Well, I think if we look at our points, number one, there is some unique circumstances to this property. They had a variance in 1972. It's not a result of what the property owner has done. And if we look at trying, it's already non-compliant. So given what they want to do, I think I would support the plans as they've been presented, to put on the extension in the backside and to move the front up.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
I
We have a motion on the floor? Do
But-
we have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Who
Wait, wait.
seconded it? Mr. Gisone, second? Okay, we can open up discussion.
what's the motion?
Approve.
I guess the motion would be to approve application number PBA 0218 as proposed by the petitioner.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all right. Discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a clarification, so if this motion is approved, this would be to grant a waiver of the required 15 feet between dwelling units.
Correct.
Correct.
And it would allow him to build, attach
Yeah.
the second-story addition to the garage.
Yes.
Mhm.
I just want to
Yes.
make certain that we are clear, because I agree with Board Member Allen about the need for clarity of what the variance is for.
I'm still stuck on it. Reading this, I think that he could just, if they weren't attached, just build his addition and not need a variance.
Well, I think given the fact that we don't have any clear direction from 1972, to Mr. Allen's point, I think if we make it very specific here and just go ahead and grant the variance, then we've got ourselves covered.
But I think then we're going above and, then we're definitely going above and beyond what they did in 1972. Whereas, I don't know.
I know, I sort of feel like we're just trying to clean house, to make sure that it's all neatly done, so that there are no questions. And I think that what did sway me was Mr. Evans' point of, you can just keep continuing to go back.
But in 1972, they were okay, we know that the board was okay with there being a garage detached from a house, and they were okay with it being 3 feet from the other property line, and they were okay with it being less than 10 feet between one another. We don't know if they were okay with there being one united dwelling going all the way to 3 feet. It's something different.
Yeah, that's why she offered up a variance. We are changing that is what we're doing.
So,
Just a quick question for the applicant there.
sir, you got a question for us? You can stand back up.
I heard earlier you were talking about the non-com plywood and the exterior garage wall and the drywall. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
What are you giving us there? 1 hour rating on that wall?
I believe so. Whatever, whatever's in the new build code, I would say, we do like an aluminum soffit, so that's non-combustible, non-com OSB, 2-foot returns. It requires a little bit more, we have to stay in compliance with that update. So, no, it's not a flip, it's just a place where my brother's gonna live with his family and trying to help him out while he's on vacation. So, under the firing squad, but we're all good. No, I think, I didn't realize that it would bring up other issues of 1972, because now, you guys have very, very valid points, and it can open up Pandora's box of a lot of different things. So, just backing up, I mean, to clarify, like I said, if you don't have to connect it, we won't. If we can, we will, but it just depends.
Okay.
So
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to play by the rules, so
Very good.
all good.
Thanks for coming back.
Anytime, just
Just one more comment under the criteria. I think the problem then would be under number 4. If, the minimum variance necessary, the minimum variance necessary would be the variance that exists. Not-
What was your thought on that?
I don't think that, like, applying our criteria, the 4th criteria, the requested variance is the minimum variance necessary to do substantial justice. I don't think, as proposed, it would be, because the minimum variance necessary is the variance that would exist already, the variance that's there.
Any further comments, any further discussion? Nope. Board members? We're ready for a vote.
Allen,
No.
Bueller,
No.
Butts,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes.
Gasson,
Yes.
McAlpin,
Yes.
and Evans.
No. Sir, you received your variance.
thank you.
Just be in touch with the department on what step to take next.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming out. Our next case is for property at 2785 12 Mile Road. Mr. McLean, could you give us a summary of the proposal?
Yes, the applicant will be purchasing the property where Berkley Transmission is currently located. The applicant is looking to remodel the existing building into a hair salon. The applicant is also seeking to install 8 chairs / stations where customers would be able to come in and have their hair done. With our existing parking standards for this type of use requires 3 parking spaces per chair. The applicant has space on the property for 12 parking spaces, so she would be allowed to have 4 chairs without a variance. What she's seeking tonight is a waiver of the requirement if there's a public municipal lot within 500 feet, no on-site parking is required. The closest municipal lot is roughly 650 feet to the west of the existing property. She's reached out to some of the neighboring businesses regarding shared parking agreement. She's been unable to secure a parking agreement on the south side of 12 Mile, and the ordinance requires that an applicant, if they do shared parking, you can't cross a major thoroughfare. So there were willing participants on the north side of 12 Mile. Unfortunately, that would not meet the requirements of the ordinance.
Based on the proposal, how many spaces do they need on site?
12.
They
I'm
need
sorry, 24 rather.
24, and they have
Enough for 12.
12, gotcha. Okay,
And that includes the one barrier-free spot.
gotcha. Any questions for the board, staff? Okay. Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Well, would you please step up to the microphone and tell us who you are, where you're at, and your practical difficulty.
I wish my brother was up here doing this for me actually right now. My name is Morgan Gruzinga. I live 2717 Hummer Lake Road, Ortonville. I'm looking to open a salon in Berkley at this location and change and completely redo this building. It's been industrial for a lot of years. So I want to make a green space out of it.
Anything else?
Um,
Would you like to talk about the practical difficulties with the property, or
You know,
you don't have to unless you want to?
I know that, like, as far as walking, or my clients or my staff being able to walk from municipal parking, I work in Birmingham right now, and we already walk about 900 feet, and so do all of my clients. So parking in municipal parking for 2 blocks is not real far. So if that was a concern or anything, do you want me to give you a little bit of information about my salon? Would that help, or am I just talking too much right now?
Well, we've all read your application very clearly. If there was anything you'd like to say different in your application, you don't necessarily have to reread everything.
Okay, the one thing I would like to make a point about is that I am an employee-employer salon. So I am not a booth rental. I have policies and manuals that states specific rules for parking. And that is to not park on the street at all, because that is where our customers all need to be able to park, or homes, anywhere in front of homes. I have been with my staff, the people I'm looking at bringing with me, I've been with them over 15 years, some of them. So I have worked with them for quite some time.
Can you talk a little bit about if you have anything else to add about the difficulties perhaps with the property or the neighborhood? And we're trying to hone in our 5 criteria.
There really aren't. There's a lot of parking on the street. I know that that's not considered. There's about 24 spaces on street parking besides my 12. So I think it's adequate parking for clients and for no one to be parking in spots they're not supposed to. I have talked with the DDA, and I do want to do a facade grant. I do want to change the Mansford roof and create more of like a mid-century modern look to the building.
Okay, well, very good.
Mhm.
Any members of the board have any questions for the applicant?
Mhm.
See, I saw two hands, Mr. Giselle.
You're asking for 8 chairs? Would 4 chairs be financially cumbersome with what you're looking to pay for the property and what you pay your employees?
Yeah, it would be.
So doing the math, you have to have more than 4 people with you, or it has to be more than 4.
Yeah, yeah, for the size of the building, and our architect, like the layout of it, and also to have, like, the way it works too is like, a lot of times, like, a mom might come in with their child, but they want to sit next to the child. It might not be a working chair, but, you know, maybe somebody works part-time, they're there, it's open. It's better to have more, maybe not all are functioning at one time, but throughout the day, you have different people coming and going, because we do have some part-time people.
So there could be given days where there are only 4 stylists working, like, let's say if you opened on Mondays. I know Monday's typically maybe a slower day compared to a Friday or Saturday, where
Right.
you'd probably have everyone there.
Yeah, I may have like, you know, 4 in the morning and 6 by the evening, you know. I hope to grow it though, you know, I want to grow, so, definitely your question with it being burdensome, like, to the business, putting the amount of money to fix up this space, it's gonna cost,
We
you
have
know.
another question from one of the board members, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Are you currently the owner of the building? Have you closed on the property?
No,
yet?
not yet. We are going through our phase 1, phase 2.
Okay. And that's something that we should keep in mind, that if we were to move ahead granting this variance, that it's contingent upon the sale from the current owner to this person, because of the fact that the variance stays with the property. Okay.
Any more questions?
No.
Okay.
I've got one. How much cleanup are you gonna have to do to that building?
You know, right now, we are looking at doing like ground penetrating radar to make sure that there is no existing containers underground. That is, once we find that out, then we know more.
In process.
Are you
Mhm.
prepared for that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Tim's
I am.
department did say, by the way, that the tanks that were in the ground there were taken out about 15 years ago, correct?
I believe that was in 1999.
99, okay.
4 tanks were removed on record. But with our environmentalist, there's another record that says 3, so we are checking. I do not want to be responsible, you know, for something that I don't know about, so we're finding out about it, and then once we find out, that will be removed. Because it's with any business that goes into anything like that, because of fumes or anything, you need to make sure that it's clean. Yeah. But right now, we are in process of that, so.
I just don't wanna see another Franklin issue.
Oh, right, you know, that was sewer. Isn't that wild? That was sewer. I have people clients that live there. And speaking of that, you know, I do have clients that come from all over and are excited about coming to Berkley. I'm excited about cross-marketing with the businesses. I have friends that have businesses here. I'm in, like, to collaborate and to grow business together. I am so about that, and very good at cross-marketing. I find when I went through, Tim had told me, you know, go and see about shared parking. Unfortunately, on my side, there isn't any shared parking, so I was walking across the street. And but I got to meet, so many great neighbors, so great people to do business with.
Any further questions from any of the board members? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this point, I'll open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this? Please tell us your name and address.
Wendy Zabramski, 3 Gardner Avenue, 3440. Yes, I have a few concerns. She mentioned street parking, and that goes into residential area. Berkley has some serious parking issues, and they're not being addressed. And we talked about, what the application is asking is to be able to be a part of the municipal parking, which is like a block and a half away. Looking at the building and the cars that are there, it's really kind of a funky setup for parking. I don't know how that's gonna be done. I personally am in the residential area and have the overflow all the time of the businesses. For one, I'm down far enough that Amici's has 4 parking spots of their own. How that was ever approved, I have no idea. But the living room and Amici's have 4 parking spaces. Their employees take up any municipal parking that's there, which leaves the overflow in the road. Everybody, for some reason, in that section have marked their own territory because they are privately owned lots, and it's a big feud. I have people parking in front of my house all the time in the residential area, which is legal, but it is quite a pain in the ass. And she's mentioning street parking, and street parking is all residential. And I know for myself and for many people, they're not gonna walk a block and they have 2 minutes parking, they're gonna park at the closest place they can.
Okay, thank you very much. Please step up.
Hi. Cindy Canelli, Cumberland. I am very aware of the street parking. I have the restaurant and I have the laundromat at that corner. You can get in and out. We have garbage, cigarette butts, and just general garbage all over the place all the time. We watch certain people throw the cigarette butts on our property. They park in front of the fire hydrant, and nothing's done about that. Trying to get out of our street is almost impossible. And we have a new up-and-coming neighborhood, and we have young kids now. And it's dangerous for young kids. The restaurant will not allow their people to park in the parking lot, so they park on the street. I've had to call the police a couple times because they're parked over my apron. I love the idea of a new business coming in Berkeley, but I think we really need to do something about parking. We have an issue.
And just to establish, you're by Alex's in the laundromat there?
Yes.
Okay, did you receive a notice in the mail?
No.
Okay, that's okay, I just wanted to kind of get an
Yeah.
idea how far away. Okay, thank you very much. Any other members of the public, would they like to comment?
I'm Vivian Carmody, I'm the DDA director. My first time here, this is pretty exciting. I just wanted to support Morgan's application. I think that, she's putting a big investment into a area of 12 Mile that could use a little perking up. And the plans that she has for the transmission shop to bring it back to its mid-century roots, the quality of the business that's going in. When she talks about street parking, she's obviously talking about all the parking along 12 Mile, which there is substantial, and it's frequently not full. The problem down at Amici's is really different. I mean, there is no street parking on 12 Mile down at Amici's. So you have to park in the back, and it is all private parking. So I just, I'm just here to support what she's trying to do. She has a long history of clients and employees understanding that they need to walk. So it's not like she's retraining anybody. So that's
Okay,
sense.
thank you very much.
Patty Curtis, I don't live in the immediate neighborhood, I live on Kenmore near Mr. J's Bar, around the corner, and the party store, and I know that on-street parking is a problem for me. Like the others have said, all the employees tend to park in front of my house. When I want to have guests over, there's no available parking. I think that's a valid concern. She had mentioned, and may I ask, you have a salon in Birmingham?
Ma'am, could you direct your comments? to
Where is
chair,
the
please?
salon, what she mentioned as
Yeah.
a concern that she has a salon in Birmingham and they walk several blocks, but the Birmingham downtown situation is a lot different. It's not generally residential. If there are residences, they're in condos or apartment buildings and high-rises that have their own parking lots. So I don't think it's a valid comparison. There's only certain parking available in Birmingham. In Berkley, they can park wherever they want on everybody's street. Also, did the owner of the building apply for this variance, the current owner of the building?
We can answer that as soon as we're done.
I just wanted to know is in terms of procedure,
Okay, all right.
is
We'll make sure we answer that.
is it required that by zone, by the ordinance that the owner is the one who applies for the
Right.
variance?
We'll make sure we answer that before, right after public comment is over.
Okay, and one more thing, the downtown area, I welcome a new vibrant business. I think to invite another hair salon, I'm sorry, is a mistake in our downtown area. I don't think it adds anything to our downtown neighborhood. We have numerous salons. Some of them are doing well, some of them are not doing so well. And I think to invite the parking problems, which are evidence, will happen, as are evidenced by Vincetta Garage and Amici's alone, you can almost guarantee that the same type of issues are going to come up. Me living a block away from commercial development, I would be against a variance on parking minimums for a business.
Thank you very much.
Can
Does anyone else have any comment they'd like to make to the board?
I say something?
You sure can, if you just want to step up to the podium and tell us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Tamara. I live at 725 Helene Royal Oak, and I'm friends with Morgan, and I've worked with her for over 15 years. And I will be coming to her salon if all this goes really good. And it's exciting. We have friends that have businesses in Berkeley, and I just think that, with the street parking and the fact that we've walked for over 15 years, I live in downtown Royal Oak, I understand parking, but I also understand what a business like this could do for the city. And if the goal is to grow, where is the future? I mean, I think something like this could really elevate it and take it to the next level. And the clients that we've been doing for over 15 years. So if they have to walk 2 blocks or whatever, I think they're gonna be fine with that. Or if we have special permit parking, it would be fine because we've been used to that already. So I really hope that you guys consider her as a good candidate for this business, because I think there's so many more positives to come, and I don't think parking is going to be an issue, especially if we, if the employees decide, or you guys want us to get into the parking lot, you have our word. I mean, even however that has to be situated, so just here to say that.
Very good. Thank you for your comment.
Ma'am, can I get your last name for the record?
Oh,
please?
it's Carolyn, Carolin.
Thank you.
Please step up.
Thank you. My name is Kishan Harbert. I'm a citizen of Southfield, but I happen to be Morgan's realtor. So I helped her locate this property, the transmission shop, so I can speak to the developments that she's trying to do with the building. Right now, it is kind of an eyesore for the city of Berkeley. There are a lot of environmental challenges at this property, but she's spending her money, time, and due diligence to make sure that she has a safe environment for the citizens. So that is a value add for the city, that she's cleaning up what could be contaminated, which, as you may or may not know, could leak into other businesses and neighborhoods. So that is something that she's looking to do. Additionally, I happen to, again, be a realtor. All I do is commercial. And I understand that parking may be an issue for the neighbors. So I think Morgan has set up things in her policies and procedures that would force her employees to not use neighborhood parking. There is street parking along 12 Mile in front of the building on the other side of the street. So that is something that is a viable option as well. But I would, I guess, challenge the community, consider what business would go here that would not require some type of parking there. If you want the city to grow. And I kind of hear two issues. Maybe the public parking issue is something that can be resolved later, but she shouldn't be penalized right now for something that is a city downtown issue. So if you don't push and grow, then, I mean, you stay stagnant. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Rachel Tysantini on Oxford and Berkeley. So I just have a few questions and maybe you guys can help clarify. First of all, I absolutely welcome a new business. I think that's awesome. I know we have a lot of salons. Yes, we have a lot of salons. However, nobody's saying she can't open a business here. She can open a business. She can have the 4 chairs. Nobody's saying we don't want and not welcoming her. She's asking for this for a financial reason, and that's usually what the board does not look at, financial reasons. I just want to make sure we point that out. Second thing is she had mentioned that her staff was going to park someplace else, I think, or that she has policies and procedures. Maybe that's for her current salon, I don't know. But the staff park someplace else and they walk 2 blocks, whatever it is, and maybe that's going to be the same policy here, I don't know. But on her drawings, it says that her staff is going to park 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots, it looks like. So maybe we need clarification on where the staff's going to park, because from her drawings, they're going to park on the property, of which customers could park there, I suppose. So I just want clarification. We can work on that.
Sorry, guys.
Well, this is a Michigan artist.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter?
Did you want?
Yeah, just
want
answer
to
that
answer
first.
that?
Do you have comments regarding that?
No, she wants to speak. She just wants to speak.
Your question was the parking, right?
Yes.
Well, I don't want to, this is not how we're going to address the parking question. The question was addressed to the board.
Oh,
We'll do what we can to answer that. It's our
taking
job,
that
before you speak, it's our job to assess all the information that we're given, whether it's in the applicant, whether it's in, and it's up for each board member individually, and this board as a whole, on what way to grant everything we've seen and heard tonight, everything associated with this. So with that being said, please proceed.
Okay, good evening. Diana Keith, resident on Kipling between Beverly and 12 Mile for the past 50 years. I know I don't look 50, but yes. I love that you want to fix it up because it's an eyesore, absolutely. Growing business, yes, absolutely. Berkeley, we care. I'm ready for that. But I'm very concerned about the parking, and I guess I want to know if, have we looked at how many spots really are available in the parking that we want them to use? Because I know whenever I go over there, there's never any parking. So then I go home and then I walk. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about parking, you know, that clients would park on the street. Kipling is a through fare. Like, everyone turns down Kipling because you go another street further and you can't turn left. So Kipling goes all the way through to Oak Park. So it's already a really busy street. And I'm concerned that adding more cars is going to make it dangerous. So a lot of children on this street. So I wanted to say that, and I'm wondering what the hours of the salon are, how late it's going to be into the evening. Already, people that go to the salon that's already there, the tea shop, the cleaners, they already park on Kipling. The barber shop across, Pools of Go-Go, all of them park on Kipling and jaywalk across the street. So, so I guess I want more information. Who's watched? Did you put the thing in the street to see how many cars are going down? Who's parking? Like what? I just want more information. I'm not saying I'm for it or I'm against it. I'm just concerned about it. 12 spots in that lot. I don't know how that is, but we're asking She needs 12 more. That's a lot. So,
And that's the question for us to answer
right,
tonight.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's a tough question.
Very good, thank you for your comment. I'm sorry, ma'am, you've already had a chance to speak. Please,
Really?
yes.
It's a different
Please,
thing.
please have a seat. We're still taking public comment regarding this. Thank you very much. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. Seeing no further questions, or comments, I'm going to close the public comment and bring it back to the board. One thing I heard clear was a question about, Mr. McLean, if you explain who the applicant is, and the question about the process and the owner and their involvement in this.
Yes, the applicant is Ms. Krasenga. She indicated that she's in the process of closing on that property.
Okay.
So she is currently not yet the owner.
All right, okay. And do we have any indication from the owner of their interest in this, or?
I've received no communication
Okay.
from the current owner.
Okay, very good. Ms. McAlpine?
Well, go ahead.
I was just,
Okay.
my question was for Mr. McLean. Is that fairly common? I know as a builder, I go for variances myself on behalf of the client. But is it common for others to do that instead of the property owner itself?
It's not unusual.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3.
So, I don't know if you can answer this or not for us, Mr. McLean. Given the nature of the property and the number of parking spots that are available, are there certain types of businesses that could get away with the existing parking, or would any business, to Ms. Carmody's, I hope I have your name right, to her point of what kind of other business could come in there and not need a variance? And I understand, let me make this very clear, I'm not asking because I think that's the ground for giving the variance, but I think that's something that we need to consider, that there's could be a practical difficulty in potentially developing this piece of property in any way because nobody can go in there. If that makes sense.
It really depends on the use.
But could a retail storefront go in there?
I'd have to go back to the book and look at square footage, because the standards are different for a retail operation versus a hair salon.
I just recall, and I know we consider each individual property on its own merits. I recall that specialty appraisal repair store that we did up by Uncle Andy's. And nobody could have gone in there because of the number of parking spots that they had and the type of business. And so that's when we really looked at the hours of operation and those kind of things, and we took that into consideration when we were determining whether or not to approve that parking variance. And that's what's leading me to think of, if it can't be a vet, it can't be a restaurant, it can't be whatever it can be, then.
And we just don't know that.
Right, but I didn't know if there was any way to determine, yes, there's 7 other types of businesses that can go in there. So there's just one of the questions. Oh, and the other thing is there any way to put no parking signs potentially on Kipling to help protect the residents in that area?
They used to have them when they took them
Miss,
off.
The public hearing is closed. This is a question for staff. Thank you.
I would have to confer with public safety, but I think that could be an option.
Mr.
Yeah, the reason that I brought up the ownership issue is because knowing that sometimes it can be a fairly lengthy process to go through a closing on this, especially if there's a phase 1 and a phase 2 environmental being done on a piece of property. And if you jump the gun a little too much, you could actually end up hamstringing the current owner by sticking him with a variance. And that's why I brought up the suggestion of contingency, if that were needed.
Mr. Gisone.
In the interest of full disclosure, I live on Kipling. I am south of Beverly. I do not believe that my proximity to this applicant would sway my view one way or another.
Okay. You have no interest in this?
No interest.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for making that clear. Any other comments or thoughts from the board members?
I have a couple of questions now for the applicant. I don't know if that's appropriate or we can do that.
It is appropriate, yes. If you want the applicant to come back up, one of the board members has questions for you, if you could approach the podium.
Hi.
Hi.
One of the public comment questions that I thought was good and I wanted answered myself was, what are your anticipated hours?
So Sunday and Monday, the salon will be closed. I will be doing education though, so just staff will be parking. There'll be enough room there on those days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the salon will be open. Tuesdays are usually like 9 to 4, 9 to 5. Wednesdays are 9, sometimes to 9. Thursdays 9 to 9. Fridays 9 to 6. Saturdays usually 9 to 4.
So you have how many days till 9 again? Sorry.
Wednesday and Thursday. Those are usually late nights. Those are kind of normal salon hours.
And if you're granted a variance, you could hold to those hours that you're telling us now, because you would have to.
Yeah, it would be, I would be like right in there, yeah.
No, you would have to or less. Anything that you.
Yeah, it would not be more.
Everything you've said tonight is.
It would not be more than
Okay.
that. I wouldn't be till 10.
I just wanted to have
Chances,
comfort.
one night it would be 8.
Right,
so
it would be 8, but, right, it would be closer to 8. You know,
You'd be closing sooner rather than later.
Right.
How many, and this isn't entirely relevant, but how many chairs do you have now?
With the 12 spaces that are on that lot, and,
No, I'm asking your current business. That
oh,
you're-
it's actually a 900 square foot building, and there's 9 chairs. And this is like a 18, the size of the building is 1840.
Do you ever have 9 chairs actually going at one time?
You know, I mean, at some points, sometimes you do. You hope to always have chairs going. That's how, you know, but I would say not out of the day. I would say, you know, you might have maybe 3 hours out of a full day that you could have all chairs going.
Like, could
growing.
you survive in this new business with 6 chairs?
You know, being education-based and wanting to grow, to me, 8 chairs would be, is really what I need. 10 is what I wanted. Could I make 6 work if I had to? I've been known to do some crazy things, you know, but I would really like to see it be able to grow and bring in, be able to service more people. The staff parking on the lot, I know I'm addressing something extra, but the staff parking on the lot is to also help take some staff away from municipal parking. So they would be on the lot.
Would you be willing to instruct your staff to park farther away and walk?
I'm sorry?
Would you be willing to instruct your staff to park farther away, that all the on-site parking would be for customer parking?
With the way that the parking area, because that's a weird little building and how it was set up, that's been there since like 1951. Actually, there's been a building there since 1940, but that building was rebuilt in 1951. It's an odd little side lot. Do you know?
Yeah, no,
I do have parking. Should I, Tim, should I have given that to them? The parking?
Yes, if you have an additional drawing, now would be the time.
I wasn't sure when to do that, I'm sorry. So the way that it's set up, staff would stay, like from beginning to end, and then clients would park behind them.
Is this, how does this compare to what we have now, Mr.?
This one is,
Sorry.
looks like, the only difference really, looks like this one's color.
It's in color
The drawings
and-
are.
Is this, yeah, I guess my question for the applicant is what's different from this than your actual application?
It's color.
There's no other documents, these 2 maps
We just have those in there because we had already printed, so those were just like kind of maps of where it was to municipal parking.
I just wanted to be sure, because I know there's members of the public that downloaded the entire application package.
Yep.
And if there's something different in there, I would want everyone to know
No.
about that. Okay.
It's in color, where like the handicap parking would be, we just color coded it where the building
Okay.
is.
All right, we just want everybody to know that. We'll keep one copy for the record. I'll pass mine down to the end if any of the members of the public want to see it. Yeah, it's identical to what's in the packet.
It's identical,
full
it's just
disclosure.
color coded.
Okay, very good. We'll make one of those part of the record.
Those are all the questions I had.
Okay. I don't right now. Okay. Mr. Kirby.
Just some thoughts for us, not for the applicant.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, I've got a couple thoughts here. Looking at the 12 slots that we have drawn on this diagram in front of us, looks like 4 of them are closed in. So 4 of those spots, are they legal parking spots when they're not available to drive in and out?
I would have to get a clarification on that, but I would probably lean towards the side of maybe not.
Yes, because I'm not seeing 12 spots on this property. There are, if you include the blocked off positions, which is why they may say staff, because those 4 particular spots could not be used by somebody coming and going because they're blocked in unless you have a valet. That would be my assumption. So I'm really only seeing 8 spots here. And then, when we're looking at our requirements here, back to the minimum variance, could we go 6 or 8 seats or 10 seats? Really, that whole action right there is a direct result of this property owner, which leads us to the next one. Even asking for 6 is that direct result, and it comes down to finances, really. When we're talking 8 seats or 6 seats or back to the 4 seats, it comes down to finances, and that's something that really is not in our realm of discussion right there.
Right.
Back to answer your question about what other businesses could go, this very business could go right here easily with 4 seats, and we wouldn't even be discussing this evening. So yes, a hair salon could go here. A retail could certainly go here, because I know that the parking codes for the retail are lax. Those individuals having 3 spots per chair, if you will, is not really the same in retail. Folks come and go. Now, are we struggling to get retailers in there? We are. I wasn't aware we had that many salons because I'm not out at it too often, but it appears we do have a lot of salons. But that's the type of business that does have some staying power. It's more of a service. Our storefronts are, we're hurting here in Berkley. The big boxes and online is hurting us on that front, so we do need to look in a different direction. There's no doubt. And getting rid of this transmission shop there and getting something a lot better would be great for everybody involved there. However, we can't put that pressure on the side streets there with the parking, which will inevitably happen in front of everybody's house. I've lived here long enough, I can point out multiple districts in Berkley where this very thing takes place right now. I know the one citizen talked about it, but we've tried putting the permit parking signs only, we've tried putting no parking, then the neighbors can't even have their mom come over and park in front of the street because there's no parking sign. We go to the permit parking, and again, that poses a problem. I live in front of Anderson, there's just hundreds of people parking all over my driveway and everything. A permit parking thing still doesn't really work there. So it would be difficult for us reaching back into the neighborhoods to try to put a stop to them parking there with whatever we do here today. And then I think my last point would be, yes, any of this would be contingent clearly on the planning commission approving that business plan for that property. As far as who's applying for that variance, our variance would be contingent probably on the planning commission approving that business, correct? More than likely.
If they have to vote for the planning commission, yes.
I think everybody does.
And the sale, do they?
More or less, yeah. Those are my thoughts.
I agree with a lot of those thoughts. I do believe there's a reason why the ordinance and all the study that goes into that to establish public parking within a certain distance, and all the allowed uses and required parkings on-site and off-site for all the businesses, not just on 12 Mile, but throughout Berkeley. I think there's a reason why they have the number 500. I also think there's a specific reason in the code why this type of use is required a certain number of space, and while other types of uses are required a different number. I don't believe it's well, I know it's not in our purview to consider the financial. Could 8 work, could 6 work, could 4 work? Could another use work? I don't think anyone else has the answer, and the only person who has the answer to the financial is the applicant, and that's just based on an individual business model. I'm not convinced there's necessarily a practical difficulty on this property based on what I've seen and heard and everything that's occurred tonight with the application. It's not clear to me that other alternatives would not work. Is it possible that somebody could have 4 chairs? Well, sure, it's possible. Maybe not for this business model, but someone else's business model. But will it work for the property? According to the staff report, there is room on the property for that. I am concerned with the proposed parking layout. Even if it does comply 100% with the code, I see it potentially being problematic, whether it's staff or members of the public, and it would not surprise me if this would lead to increased parking along the side streets. I've heard from 3 residents tonight, 4 residents tonight that share similar concerns. So for those reasons, I don't think a practical difficulty's been met, and I would, at this point, not be in favor of granting this variance.
Go ahead. I think this is a tough one, because I think the applicant's trying to do a good thing, and I think it needs to be recognized. And I think it's also worth noting that while there are some people here who have legitimately raised issues with parking, I don't think anyone on Kipling, who's right around the corner, who had received notice of this, has objected or
Oh, one, no, we won.
One. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And she was undecided, she wanted more information. That being said, this is and it's also, it's an eyesore, and I hate to think 5 years from now, this transmission shop is sitting there vacant. But that being said, when I went to look at this place the other day, it's a really strangely laid out place, and I wanted to look at it, and what did I do? I pulled up in front of a house around the corner, because I didn't want to drive, 2 blocks away to park. And, that's now. There was, I don't know if the transmission shop is operating, but there's a couple kind of scuzzed out looking cars parked here and there, and it was kind of hard to dodge around them to even get where you wanted to go and what you wanted to see. So I have concerns just based on that lot. I mean, you'd have to have a valet operating, moving cars in and out to get 12 people parked in that lot. That being said, I also think that, I don't think the comparisons to Amici's and to bars that are serving alcohol till, midnight are exactly a fair comparison either. So those are my thoughts. It's a tough one.
Mr. Allen?
One of the things that we need to take into consideration as well is, we talked about putting up the signs and permit parking. Who's going to enforce that? We've already got problems in staffing alone that we don't have enough people to enforce things, so we have to keep that in mind.
No, it's you two then, me, I think.
Let's see, who's next?
No, I was pointing.
Oh, you were pointing, okay.
Oh, but you were first, you were before me.
Yeah, I didn't see your hand, so.
Yeah, now I know you were.
Go ahead.
The parking on the south side of 12 Mile, for pretty much all the shopping center on the on the west side of Kipling, where the bank is, the parking lot where Amici's is 1 block down, I don't think any of those parking lots have adequate parking just to support the businesses that are existing there. So we can't consider the parking across the street, which the only time the Rite Aid parking lot, which I think that was originally set up for the movie theater, the only time that parking lot is filled is around Christmas season. But we can't consider that because it's across a major thoroughfare. But I usually, because I live close enough there, I usually walk to the businesses in that area in all kinds of weather, but I try to walk. And I don't see, even if they're walking 2 or 3 blocks, I don't see the additional parking being available for this establishment to be necessary to operate. So, just based on that and the fact that 4 chairs would work and provide adequate parking, I can't see myself supporting this.
I was just going to kind of echo what everyone's saying. I think the most challenging part of sitting up here is that when we have plans brought forward like this and we look at the existing piece of property and what it looks like now and what it could look like, we are bound by certain rules and procedures and, quite frankly, law that require us to meet certain standards. And that is how we judge an applicant. We can take into consideration the comments and the impact it would have on the community, but given the fact that this could be a perfectly great use and the parking's there, we can't necessarily take into the fact that there's going to be people parking on Kipling because it meets all the requirements and our 5 points are addressed. In this particular case, we can come up with a lot of emotional reasons to say yes, but in the end of the day, the practical difficulty hasn't been met, so I'd have to echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. And while I would love to have this business here, I can't in good conscience vote to do that because technically I would be not doing my job. And that's what makes it the most difficult. Because in my heart I'm like, this is great, I love what she has to say, but it's pretty black and white in this particular case, and unfortunately, it doesn't meet our criteria, which sometimes makes it really hard for us to sit up here, and I think we all feel that same way, so.
And quickly, I just want to echo the last half of what you said. We do have our criteria, although I do think it's a wonderful proposal. We're just limited to our criteria. And I just didn't want to come across as someone that isn't appreciative of someone coming in, putting in a lot of money, really improving. We've got the support of the downtown development director here. I think what you're going to do is wonderful things, but based on our criteria, I don't think I have a leg to stand on the vote. Yes.
We can't vote on emotion, and that's what I think we all weigh that part of that. At least I take it, and I take it very seriously. So as much as I would love to say yes, me saying yes results in a lot of bad things happening, potentially things happening that aren't correct. Not, I guess, just in legal, if you will.
Additional discussion? Does anyone have a motion they'd like to?
I guess I'll just go ahead and make the motion that we deny the application PBA 0318. Unfortunately, because there is not a practical difficulty brought forward and that we cannot demonstrate that there is not alternative uses for the property as set forward. And we're sorry, I guess that's all I can say.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Mr. McLean.
Kirby,
Yes.
McAlpin,
Yes. To deny.
Right, this is to deny. So the yes vote means variance is denied.
Butts, yes. Euler,
Yes.
Allen. Yes. And Gazon.
Yes.
And Evans.
Yes. I'm sorry, the variance has not been granted, has been denied. We do appreciate all the time that you and everyone who's come here to represent you have put in. Thank you very much.
Hope you can find another building.
Okay, the next item of business is other business. Does staff or any members of the board have any other business they'd like to bring up? Mr. Design.
Just, I'd like to see all of you at Berkley Days next month. I'm not sure if we have a meeting before that, so I wanted to bring that up now.
You're the board member in the dunk tank this year?
If you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, that works.
Liaison report, I'll defer to staff. Do we have a liaison?
Not yet. We're hoping that the mayor will be able to appoint a new liaison at the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right. And now, this is where we can open up to any additional public comments. Does anyone in the audience would like to make a public comment? Any additional public comments? I see none, okay. At this point, it's 9:01, and I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you.